Have you ever opened your bedroom door and felt the floor vanish beneath your feet? I did, unthinkingly. My breath caught in my throat as I stepped into what I thought was our sanctuary. Instead of the soft rumple of sheets and the gentle hum of our night light, I saw them. My husband, Daniel, tangled in the sheets with a woman I had never met. She pressed against him like she owned every inch of our bed, her fingers tangled in his hair. His eyes snapped, open, wild with guilt, mine stung with a betrayal I'd never imagined. I froze, every muscle locked in disbelief. The air smelled of perfume and betrayal. My heart thundered, so loud I feared he would hear it over their gasps. The woman, his secretary, I later learned, slipped off the bed, her cheek paling as she draped a satin robe around her. Daniel's shirt buttons strained against his chest as he tried to sit up. Meg, his voice cracked, as if he'd swallowed glass. I pressed a trembling hand to the doorframe. "Who is she?" I managed, but my voice came out as broken shards of sound. His gaze darted between me and the woman, confusion and fear warring in his eyes. "It's not what it looks like," he said. I laughed, a short, bitter bark. "Not what it looks like. My own husband in my bed with another woman. Please." The woman slipped past me, avoiding my eye, as she reached her car keys on the nightstand. Daniel shot her a pleading look. She paused, then swept out the door, robe clutched to her chest. I heard the muted click of the lock behind her, and then silence. I stood alone, the door now closed, the betrayal ringing in my ears. My body trembled, adrenaline and heartbreak coursing through me. I sank onto the edge of the bed, my wedding ring cold against my finger. How long had this been happening? The dinners, he said, were late. Work meetings, the weekend golf outings with the guys, the hushed phone calls at dawn. My mind raced, pulling at threads of suspicion I'd buried. I grabbed my phone and dialed my sister, Kate. "Megs," she answered groggily, voice thick from sleep. "I need you," I whispered, tears stinging my eyes. I just walked in on Daniel and someone else. Within minutes, Kate was on my stoop, arms wide. I fell into her embrace, sobs shaking me. She led me to the couch, wrapped me in a blanket, and let me cry until I had no tears left. "Tell me everything," she whispered. Through gasps, I relayed every detail, from the moment I saw him in my lingerie to the way she'd looked at my wedding photos on the nightstand. Kate grabbed her notepad and pen. "We need a plan," she said. "You deserve clarity, and you deserve support. Step 1, collect evidence." Over the next hour, Kate and I tiptoed through my phone and email, searching for proof. We found cryptic messages from a burner number. "Can't wait to see you again, Red Heart. Meet me tonight at home." And in his email draft folder, a half-written apology to S for missing their dinner date. Each piece fit like puzzle fragments of a secret life. Step 2, secure support. Kate called our best friends, Emma and Sarah, asking them to come over. No details, just urgent. Within the hour, our living room was filled with sympathetic faces, tissues, and chocolate. Together, we formed a bubble of non-judgmental support. Step 3, decide when to confront. "Don't let him gaslight you," Emma warned. "Wait until you have all your proof and feel ready. Confrontation on shock alone can backfire." Sarah nodded, pulling up a website on healthy breakup strategies on her tablet. We set a date, Thursday evening, after our daughter went to bed, when the house would be quiet. I would present him with the evidence, texts, emails, and my own eyewitness account, and demand answers. That night, Kate and I sat in the darkened living room, whispering plans while the rest of the house slept. I felt a flicker of empowerment in the betrayal's wake. I would not be silent. I would not be shamed into thinking I was the crazy one. I would reclaim my story. Looking ahead, tomorrow I will walk into our dining room and sit across from the man I loved, armed with facts, and fueled by a determination I never knew I possessed. I will ask him why, demand the truth, and decide what comes next: repair, separation, or something I haven't yet dared to imagine. Because no matter how deep the pain, we all deserve to know the truth. And sometimes the act of uncovering it is the first step toward reclaiming our lives. I spent Wednesday gathering my evidence and steel. Thursday night I get my answers. All day, my hands shook between calls and text searches. Emma brought lunch to the office. I barely tasted the salad. Sarah sent me a link to a lawyer who specialized in marital infidelity. By evening I had screenshots of clandestine texts from his burner number. Can't stop thinking about you. Face blowing a kiss at 2:14 a.m. The half-drafted apology he'd never sent. I'm sorry I missed dinner. I'll make it up to you. Saved in drafts. A credit card charge at Le Jardin Bistro at midnight when he claimed to be home. Watching our daughter. My pulse pounded as Emma and Sarah helped me print each page. This is ironclad, Emma said, her voice fierce. We placed it all in a neat folder labeled proof, a talisman against doubt. The confrontation. That Thursday, after Charlotte slept, I led Daniel into our dining room. The candles I'd lit flickered against the walls, and the silence was thick. He tried a joke. Everything all right? But his smile faded when he saw the folder. I took a steadying breath. I know about her, I said, sliding the folder across the table. I know about the texts, the dinners, the late-night bistros, and the apology you never sent. His face went ashen. Meg, save it. I flipped to the first screenshot. Who is S? He exhaled. Her name is Serena. She's my co-worker, just a friend. I held up the late-night charge. Serena invited you to Le Jardin at midnight. You owe her apology, yet you apologized only to me after I found the camera. Tears pricked his eyes. I'm sorry. It got out of hand. I leaned forward, voice fierce. When you said you love me, I believed it. But you spent months lying in our bed, hiding your messages, hiding her. He swallowed. I know. I broke your trust. His admission felt hollow without the why. Why? I demanded. Why risk our marriage? He looked at the floor. I felt invisible. Work stressed me, the house, the baby. Serena listened. She made me feel seen. My heart twisted. So you sought validation in your office, not in our home. He nodded, shame burning his cheeks. I was weak. Setting the terms. I closed the folder. I want the truth, every detail. Then I'll decide if we can rebuild. He swallowed hard. Over the next hour, I forced him to recount. Their first lunch last spring, billed as team meeting, when she lightly touched his arm. The way he began arriving home early to beat traffic so he could sneak off to meet her. His fury when I discovered the retreat brochure in his bag, so he insisted it was marital. Counseling, not temptation. He spoke in halting breaths, the weight of each lie landing like stones on the table. When he finished, the silence roared. I met his gaze. How long? His voice cracked. A year. I staggered. A year of betrayal. The sonograms, he said, were routine check-ins, the vacations. He dashed off for work, all covered in her perfume. Seeking counsel. I told him to leave the room. My sisters and friends joined me at our kitchen island, plotting. Strategy: go to a lawyer, discuss custody, assets, potential separation. The betrayal had fractured my trust physically and financially. We needed a plan. That night, I called the lawyer Emma recommended. Monday morning, I'd file for legal. Separation, not divorce yet, but a formal boundary. If he truly wanted to rebuild, he'd have to earn every inch of trust back under court supervision. Self-care and support. Saturday, I slept till noon and treated myself to a spa day, massages, facials, the quiet hum of renewal. I journaled in the steam room. I am not broken. I am brave for facing the truth. I deserve honesty and respect. In the sauna, I ran through my mental checklist: evidence, counselor, legal next steps, self-care. Rituals. Each wasn't just a task, it was a stake in the ground declaring I matter. Finding new strength. By Sunday, I felt a spark of power amidst the pain. I drafted a message to our marriage group at church, anonymously asking for guidance on rebuilding trust after infidelity. The responses flooded in: lessons learned, prayer requests, recommendations for Christian marriage. Counselors, community rallied around me. That afternoon, I sat in the pew during service, tears rolling silently. When Pastor James quoted Proverbs, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another," I felt the forge of my life heating up. Betrayal had sought to break me. Community and truth would refine me. What comes next? Monday morning, I'd sit with a lawyer and decide on separation versus divorce. I'd meet the counselor who specialized in betrayal trauma. I'd lean on Kate, Emma, Sarah, and my faith. And I'd keep Charlotte at the center of every decision, proof that even in the darkest nights, love for my daughter shone enough light to guide me home. Because this isn't just a story about cheating, it's about reclaiming the narrative of your life when someone else tries to hijack it. And tomorrow, part 3, the legal reckoning, the emotional crossroads, and the surprising path to self-love, whether he earns his way back or I forge anew. Beginning on my own. It turned out that walking away wasn't the hardest step. It was learning how to walk forward without losing myself. Monday dawned gray and heavy. After a restless night clutching my phone like a lifeline, I sat across from the lawyer, Ms. Patel, in her softly lit office. The folder of evidence sat between us, like a sleeping dragon, its power humming beneath thin paper. She leaned forward, gaze steady. "So, Megan," she began, "you have grounds for divorce on fault, infidelity, and financial concealment. You may also pursue spousal support and full custody of Charlotte, given the betrayal of your shared trust." My throat tightened. The thought of custody, of leaving our daughter's father off her birth certificate, of explaining to her someday why we couldn't be a family, felt like a punch to the gut. Yet, Miss Patel's words also held a promise: legal clarity, the chance to start over. I exhaled. I want full custody, and I want Paul to cover therapy for both of us, for Charlotte too. See him only under a court-approved visitation plan. She nodded. We can request supervised visits at the start, then revisit after 6 months if all goes well. You'll need a custody evaluation, but that can be arranged quickly. Outside, rain streaked the windows like tears. I thanked her and stepped into the lobby where Emma and Kate waited with sympathetic hugs. "That's done," I whispered. Emma squeezed my shoulder. "Now comes the emotional work." Kate offered ginger tea and quiet reassurance. We drove home in a lull of rain-washed silence, each of us lost in thought. Back in our living room, I sat at the coffee table and opened my journal. The pen hovered over blank pages. I'd written so much about betrayal. Now I needed to map my path forward. I sketched 3 columns. Self, Charlotte, future. Beneath self, I wrote, therapy weekly. Dance class, new morning ritual. Beneath Charlotte, preschool enrollment, daddy-daughter. Weekend crafts. Beneath future, financial independence, solo trip to Italy. As I wrote, power returned to my fingertips. Each plan was a stake marking the territory of my new life. I closed the journal and felt the knot in my chest loosen. That evening, Paul texted, "We need to talk. Please let me explain." I didn't respond. Later, I found voicemails, apologies so hollow they rattled inside me. I deleted them all. Silence was my armor now. Instead, I poured myself into therapy with Dr. Morales. In our session, I recounted my meeting with Ms. Patel. When I spoke of custody, tears fell, grief for the family I once had. She offered tissue and perspective. "You're navigating loss and liberation at the same time," she said. "You can mourn what was, while embracing what will be." I realized I'd been holding on to the pain so tightly I forgot to imagine joy. We practiced guided imagery. I pictured my future home, light-filled rooms where Charlotte painted rainbows where I danced alone in slippers, where I woke each morning to possibility, not betrayal. At home, I tackled each bullet in my journal. That week, I enrolled Charlotte in a bright preschool. Down the street, her glee when I told her, "You'll make new friends," lit my whole world. I packed her backpack with her favorite dinosaur lunchbox and pinned her hair into 2 ponytails. On Tuesday, I signed up for salsa lessons at the YMCA. My body, once stiff with fear, learned to move again. Hip sways, arm flourishes, the pulse of Latin beats lifting my spirit. I stumbled over the basic steps, laughed at myself in the mirror, and felt alive. Wednesday, I called our financial advisor and set up accounts in my name alone. I arranged auto payments for bills I'd once split 50-50. I transferred a modest emergency fund from our joint savings into mine. Each click of confirmation was like reclaiming a piece of my independence. Friday night, I hosted a small gathering for my support squad: Emma, Kate, Dr. Morales, and my neighbor Linda, a single mom who'd come to my aid when Paul first disappeared for late-night meetings. We sat around the dining table loaded with homemade lasagna and kale. Salad, wine glasses clinking. I raised my glass. "To new beginnings." I toasted. They cheered. I looked at each face, pillars of my fortress, their unwavering faith wrapped around me like a quilt. Below the laughter, there was strength real and human, a reminder that family isn't just who you're born into, but who stands by you when storms blow. A month later, I faced the custody evaluator, a stern but kindly social worker named Mrs. Patel. No relation to my lawyer. She spent the morning at my home, observing Charlotte's play hour, routines, my living environment. Charlotte toddled around in her princess dress, offering Mrs. Patel a stuffed unicorn and a piece of toast. I felt a swell of pride. This was my life, secure, loving, normal in its own brave way. When she left, she said, "You create a nurturing atmosphere. I'll recommend full primary custody with reasonable visitation." I exhaled, a rush of relief and tears. Justice, it seemed, had a gentle hand. Meanwhile, word spread among our church community. Those who once whispered about my crazy accusations now approached me with apologies. Mrs. Jensen, our choir director, hugged me after Sunday service. "I'm ashamed I doubted you," she said. "You have my respect and my friendship." The congregation's shift made me realize how gaslighting extends beyond the home. It seeps into social circles, and reclaiming my voice invited others to question false narratives. That summer, I took my first solo trip to Italy, Venice, Florence, Rome. I wandered cobblestone streets, tasted gelato under the Tuscan sun, sketched the Duomo at sunset. Each moment was a declaration. I deserved beauty and adventure, not just heartbreak and confinement. Postcards flooded my Instagram. Life is Venice. Sometimes you need to drift to find where you belong. Back home, I framed photos of sunsets and pasta feasts on my living room wall, a gallery of growth. A year after I walked in on Paul, I stood in our now-shared sanctuary, my bedroom spraying lavender on crisp sheets. The man I once loved and lost had moved out, his belongings gone, his promises unkept. But in his place was a space of my own making, scented candles, a yoga mat in the corner, a bookshelf lined with titles on self-care and empowerment. That night, I recorded a message to my future self. Remember this: truth set you free. Integrity will guide you home, and you are never alone. I pressed save and slipped into bed, the lavender lullabying me into sleep.